welcome to our deep dive today.
Yeah.
We are going way back in time, almost 3 billion years, to explore Ely Greenstone outcropping in Minnesota. Now, greenstone formations, they're really rare.
They are very special.
You don't find them everywhere, so get ready to uncover what makes this outcropping so special.
Yes.
What it can tell us about Earth's history, and why you should care.
It is a journey back.
Okay, so what is greenstone? I mean, it's rock, but I'm picturing like molten lava under ancient oceans, which is already kind of blowing my mind.
Right, so picture volcanic eruptions spewing lava into the ocean.
Okay.
Over time, this lava cools and hardens into rock. But here's where it gets really interesting. Imagine this rock getting buried under layers and layers of sediment. The pressure and heat down there, unimaginable.
Yeah.
It's this process called metamorphosis that transforms the volcanic rock into what we call greenstone.
Okay, so the greenstone that we see at Ely, it's like a snapshot of the Earth from billions of years ago.
Yes.
But why is it green?
The color's a clue. It comes from specific minerals.
Okay.
Chlorite, epidote, and actinolite. These are all formed during that intense metamorphosis that we talked about.
Wow. That's pretty amazing. So how does the Ely Greenstone outcropping fit into this?
So the Ely outcropping, it's actually part of something bigger called the Vermilion Greenstone Belt.
Okay.
And that's one of the oldest in the world.
Wow.
About 2.7 billion years old.
2.7 billion. Wow. So that means it was around before the dinosaurs?
Oh, yeah. We're talking about way before the dinosaurs, a time when life on Earth was just getting started.
Okay, so we've established this rock is seriously old. But why should we care? What can these greenstone belts tell us about Earth's history?
Well, by studying greenstone belts, like the one in Ely, geologists can uncover secrets about early Earth and how continents formed.
So they're not just cool to look at, they're actually giving us clues about how our planet came to be.
Exactly. And remember, these formations are incredibly rare. You don't find them just anywhere. The Ely outcropping gives you a rare chance to connect with deep time.
Yeah, like a time most of us can only imagine.
Exactly.
Now, you might be thinking, okay, cool rocks, but what's in it for me? Well, Ely outcropping, it isn't just for geology buffs.
No.
The town of Ely itself sounds like a pretty awesome place to visit.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's a gateway to the Boundary Waters Canoe Area Wilderness.
Okay.
The BWCAW.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of that.
Pristine lakes, dense forests.
Wow.
Breathtaking. Definitely worth a side trip if you're in the area.
And I also read that Ely has a rich mining history, even if the greenstone wasn't mined directly, right?
Right. While the greenstone itself wasn't mined, its presence hinted at the mineral wealth of the area, the nearby Vermilion Range. It was a hotbed for iron ore, and that sparked a mining boom in the late 1800s.
Okay.
Ely became a busy hub. It played a crucial role in the nation's industrial development.
So we've got ancient rocks, pristine wilderness, and a fascinating history. Sounds like an all-around win for anyone who loves the outdoors. And wants to connect with the past.
And we haven't even gotten to the wolves and the northern lights yet.
Hold on. Wolves and the northern lights.
Yes.
This is getting really interesting.
Ely is home to the International Wolf Center.
Oh, wow.
You can learn about wolves and see them up close.
That is so cool.
And believe it or not, Ely is also one of the best places in the continental U.S. to see the northern lights.
Okay, I'm officially adding this to my bucket list. Imagine standing near the greenstone outcropping, gazing up at the northern lights. With the knowledge that those rocks have been there for billions of years, it gives me chills just thinking about it.
It's a truly unique combination of experiences, blending natural beauty with scientific wonder.
So we know the Ely Greenstone outcropping is special. But what can it actually tell us about those early days of Earth? I mean, what are geologists looking for when they study these rocks?
Well, those greenstone belts, they're like giant storybooks. Okay.
And each layer of rock is a page filled with information.
Yeah.
Geologists examine the composition of the rocks, the types of minerals present, the structures within the rock formations, all of which helps paint a picture of what Earth was like billions of years ago.
Hold on, are you saying these rocks can reveal things like temperature and pressure from billions of years ago?
Yes.
Really?
Exactly. It's like detective work, but on a geologic scale.
Wow.
By studying the minerals and the way the rocks have been deformed, geologists can infer details about the environment in which they form.
So they're not just talking about rocks. We're talking about clues to the very origins of Earth's environment.
Exact.
I'm all ears.
And here's where it gets even more fascinating. Remember how we talked about the Ely Greenstone being part of the Canadian Shield?
Yeah, that massive expanse of ancient rock that covers a huge chunk of North America.
That's the one, well, the Canadian Shield.
Yeah.
And greenstone belts, like the one in Ely, they're also crucial for understanding how continents formed. Okay, tell me more. I'm intrigued. How can rocks tell us about the formation of entire continents?
Picture Earth billions of years ago, much hotter. The crust was thinner and more fragmented.
Like that.
Volcanic activity was rampant, creating chains of volcanic islands.
Kind of like the Hawaiian Islands today.
That's a great analogy. Now imagine these volcanic islands slowly colliding and merging together over millions of years.
Wow.
It's like a slow-motion car crash, but with giant islands, creating the continents we know today.
So you're telling me that the continents we live on today were once just a bunch of scattered volcanic islands?
It is.
That's mind-boggling.
And the greenstone belts, well, they're the remnants of those ancient volcanic island chains preserved within the hearts of continent.
Wow. So when I touch that greenstone at Ely, I'm not just touching a rock. I'm touching a piece of a primordial continent.
Exactly. You're connecting with the very building blocks of our planet.
It's incredible to think that these seemingly ordinary rocks hold so much history and can tell us so much about our planet's past. But I have to admit, sometimes I hear about these ancient geological processes, and I think, okay, that's cool, but what does it have to do with me?
That's a fair point. It's easy to think of geology as something distant and irrelevant to our daily lives.
Yeah.
But the truth is, understanding Earth's history is crucial for understanding our present and our future.
I see where you're going with this. So how does knowing about ancient continents and greenstone belts actually matter to us today?
Well, for one thing, greenstone belts, they're often associated with valuable mineral deposits. Remember how we talked about Ely's mining history?
Right, the iron ore.
Exactly, the same geological processes that created those greenstone belts also create the conditions for important mineral resources to form.
Oh.
So understanding these ancient processes can help us locate and manage those resources more effectively.
So it's not just about rocks. It's about the resources we rely on every day.
Precisely. And there's more. By studying the past, we can also learn valuable lessons about how Earth's climate has changed over time. Greenstone belts, with their record of ancient volcanic activity, can provide clues about how carbon dioxide levels in the atmosphere have fluctuated throughout history.
Ah, so there's a connection to climate change. That makes sense. Volcanoes and carbon dioxide go hand in hand, right?
Absolutely. By understanding how Earth's systems have responded to changes in the past, we can better predict and prepare for the impacts of climate change in the future.
Okay, I'm starting to see how this all ties together. The Ely Greenstone outcropping. It isn't just a cool rock formation. It's a piece of a much bigger story. A story that affects us all.
That's a great way to put it. And, you know, there's another fascinating aspect to greenstone belts that we haven't touched on yet.
Oh, I'm all ears.
Well, some scientists believe that greenstone belts might hold clues to the very origins of life on Earth.
Wait, really? How is that possible? Are we talking about fossils or something?
Yeah, not quite fossils in the traditional sense. Remember how we talked about those ancient volcanic islands?
Right.
Those islands, with their hydrothermal vents, spewing hot, mineral-rich water, could have been the perfect breeding ground for the first life forms.
You're saying that life might have originated in a place similar to the environment? That formed the Ely Greenstone.
It's a possibility, and some researchers believe that studying greenstone belts could help us understand the conditions that were necessary for life to arise in the first place.
That's incredible. So we're talking about a rock formation that tells us about the formation of continents, the history of our planet's climate, and maybe even the origins of life itself.
That's the beauty of geology. It connects us to the vastness of time and space and reminds us that we are part of a story that's been unfolding for billions of years.
You know, I've always been fascinated by space exploration, but you're making me realize that there's just as much to discover right here on Earth. And the Ely Greenstone outcropping, it sounds like a portal to another world, a world that existed billions of years ago.
It is, and it's right there waiting to be explored. Imagine standing on that outcropping, touching a rock that's almost 3 billion years old, and feeling the weight of all that history beneath your fingertips.
I'm getting chills just thinking about it. So if someone like myself is planning a trip to Ely to see this incredible formation, what can they expect? What's it actually like to visit the Ely Greenstone outcropping?
Well, the outcropping itself is quite impressive. It's a large exposed section of greenstone rising up from the surrounding landscape.
Okay.
The rock has a distinctive greenish color, of course, and a rough weathered texture. You can see the layers of rock, the folds and fractures that tell the story of its long and turbulent history.
So it's not just a flat piece of rock. There's actually some visual interest, some texture to it.
Absolutely. And the setting is beautiful. The outcropping is located near the town of Ely, which, as we mentioned, is a gateway to the Boundary Waters Canoe Area Wilderness.
Right.
So you've got this amazing contrast between the ancient rocks and the pristine wilderness. It's a truly special place.
Okay, I'm sold. I need to see this for myself.
Yeah.
But let's say I'm planning a trip to Ely to visit the outcropping. What are some tips for getting the most out of the experience?
That's a great question. Here are a few things I'd recommend. First, I'd recommend doing a little research beforehand.
Okay.
Learn about the geology of the area, the history of the Greenstone Belt, maybe even read some accounts from early explorers or geologists who visited the outcropping.
Okay.
Having that background knowledge will really enhance your appreciation for what you're seeing.
Yeah, it's like watching a movie after reading the book. You just get so much more out of it.
Exactly. And second, take your time. Don't just rush through the site. Wander around, explore different angles, look closely at the textures and patterns in the rock. You might even want to bring a magnifying glass.
Oh, cool.
But get a really close look at the minerals.
Become an amateur geologist for the day.
Yes. And lastly, use your imagination. Try to picture what this place looked like billions of years ago. Imagine the volcanic eruptions, the molten lava flowing into the ocean, the gradual buildup of land masses.
Yeah. Wow, to actually stand there and try to visualize those ancient landscapes, that would be incredible.
It's a mind-blowing exercise. And of course, don't forget your camera.
Of course.
The Ely Greenstone outcropping is a truly unique and photogenic place. You'll want to capture those memories.
Absolutely. Okay, so we've covered the science, the history, the visitor experience. But before we wrap up, I'm curious. What about the future? What are some of the unanswered questions that scientists are still hoping to explore at the Ely Greenstone outcropping?
There's still so much to learn.
I bet.
One of the biggest mysteries is the exact nature of the tectonic processes that formed these greenstone belts. We have a general idea, but the details are still being debated. How did those ancient volcanic islands form? How did they collide and merge to create larger land masses? These are questions geologists are still actively investigating.
So even though these rocks are billions of years old, they still hold secrets that could change our understanding of the Earth.
Exactly. And then there's the question of the origins of life. As we discussed, some scientists believe that greenstone belts might hold clues to how life first emerged on Earth.
Right.
The Ely outcropping, with its history of volcanic activity and hydrothermal vents, could be a key site for this research.
So we could potentially learn more about the very beginnings of life on our planet by studying this rock formation in Minnesota.
It's a real possibility. And of course, there's always the potential for discovering new mineral deposits.
Oh,
Greenstone belts are known for their mineral wealth, and who knows what might be waiting to be discovered at the Ely outcropping.
It's incredible how much one rock formation can tell us about our planet.
This deep dive has completely changed my perspective on the Ely Greenstone outcropping. It's not just a random geological formation. It's a window into the deep history of our planet, a record of the processes that shape the world we live in today. And it's a reminder that we are part of something much bigger than ourselves, a story that stretches back billions of years.
You know, we've talked a lot about the science and history, but I think what strikes me most is the sense of wonder that this place evokes. To stand there in the presence of something that's been around for nearly 3 billion years. It must be a truly humbling experience.
It is, and it can also be inspiring. It makes you realize the incredible resilience of life. The fact that life has endured through countless challenges and changes over billions of years.
Seriously, that's a perspective of continuity.
Exactly. And you know, there's something else I find fascinating about the Ely Greenstone outcropping. It's the fact that it's still changing. Even though it's billions of years old, it's not static. The forces of erosion, weathering, and even plate tectonics are still at work, slowly but surely reshaping this ancient landscape.
So it's a living, breathing testament to Earth's history.
It is, and that's something I'd like to leave you with today. The next time you're feeling overwhelmed by the complexities of the world, or feeling lost or uncertain, Think about the Ely Greenstone outcropping. Think about the vastness of time, the resilience of life, the constant change that shapes our planet. It's a reminder that we are part of something much bigger than ourselves, a story that's been unfolding for billions of years, and will continue to unfold for billions more. And who knows what secrets the Ely Greenstone outcropping still holds, waiting to be uncovered.
What a beautiful and thought-provoking way to end our deep dive. Thank you for taking us on this incredible journey. I know I'll never look at a rock the same way again.
It was my pleasure.